Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Do you ever get to the end of a movie where the hero had to make a difficult choice, and all you want to do is talk to people about whether they made the right one?
Watch an episode of Star Trek and spend the next few days thinking about the rights of synthetic beings like Data and the Doctor. I became a co-host of the Superhero Ethics podcast because I love those questions, and the people at Wendy's are tired of hearing me talk about them.
We're not a review podcast. We're more interested in questions the characters face and how different works approach similar questions. Sometimes we'll even go behind the camera, talking about how on-screen media gets made and how that affects what questions get asked, which ones don't, and who gets to ask them.
We hit a wide range of media: movies, TV shows, books, and video games.
You can find us under Superhero Ethics wherever you listen to podcasts or go to theethicalpanda.com. But you can also do far more. We love listener feedback and we'll happily talk about your questions or comments on air, and members get special bonus content.
Hashtag not sponsored by Wendy's.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Star Wars Generations Podcast. Today, Erin is back. I am back home with a good audio setup, and we are continuing our conversation of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Erin, let's just start with you. And even before we jump into episode 3, what did you think of episodes 1 and 2?
Oh my God, I loved it. It's so cute. It was so funny. When I first watched the episode, of course, I was watching it with my parents. Shocking, I know. But I was like, hey, do you guys want to watch this new Star Wars show with me? You know, it's called like Skeleton Crew. My dad's like, what's it about? Like, what time period? I said, I don't know. It's about children having a coming of age story. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, that's all I know, brother. That's all I got for you. So we watched the trailer and then he was like, I guess. And then we watched it and they were obsessed and I'm obsessed. And Neil is something I would live and die for. Someone, per se.
I mean, how could you not?
Shut up. In this in the third episode when they're all fighting over food and they go, Neil, don't put your trunk in that. But let's see. First of all, I guess we'll get into this, but obsessed with Smee. That's so fun. SM33. I don't know. A lot of these things that I wrote down as like important things, like Neil likes Runa. We're not going to hear about that again. They're lost. Right. They're not on the planet anymore. We're also, anyways. I didn't have too much from the first 2 episodes, just a lot of enjoyment. Yeah,
I just thought it was so much fun. And like Alex and I talked about it, and I said at that point, I still stand by it. Like, I think this is the Guardians of the Galaxy of Star Wars universe, in that, yes, it is a completely different feel in many ways. Although in many ways it also feels very, very Star Wars. But I like the idea that in Star Wars, we can just tell different kinds of stories the way we can in the MCU now. We can tell horror. We can tell Goonies-style kids on bikes in suburbia. Are you making that face because you don't recognize the things I'm mentioning?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, never mind. So I was really having fun with it, episode 1 and 2. I feel like now we're in episode 3. We're starting to get into more of the story. And this is just, the world building is great.
Yeah, obviously because of technical difficulties last week, I ended up having a little soliloquy on episodes 1 and 2. Erin, you're looking at us weird. Matthew had some internet cutout issues, and so for like 10 minutes, I just talked to myself. I knew I was talking to myself, but I just talked to myself about the episode.
Which I'm sure Erin knows, because I know that all of us listen to the episodes that we miss. So Erin probably just forgot about it in this moment.
Of course.
Okay, yeah. Let me turn that around. Imagine doing that for an hour and a half by yourself, because that was me with the Solo movie when both of you ditched me.
I was in
So,
Hawaii
well,
swimming with sea
yes,
turtles.
yes.
I
But
will
now
say
you can see how fun it is to nap into
I
yourself.
couldn't even do it for 10 minutes, so that's impressive, honestly.
I will say something on both sides here. Erin, what you did was a harder challenge in many ways, and I'm very grateful for you for doing it. However, I gave you a list of questions that you could use to kind of structure things, and you had a lot of time to prepare in advance.
Mhm.
And I think that you, like me, spend a lot more time talking to the voices in your head.
Mhm.
Whereas Alex,
Oh
I
yeah.
think, is one of these weird people who I think are like stable, is the word we use for it.
Oh
But
no.
well, okay. But anyway, the point
Depends
being,
on the day.
Alex had to do it last minute, no planning advance. So you both did a great job. I'm very grateful to both of you. And now let's talk about episode 3. So this is Matthew from the future breaking in with a quick announcement, because in between the time that we recorded this episode and when we're going to be releasing this episode, we have finally nailed down all the details with our sponsorship with Level Up Sabers. Level Up Sabers is the lightsaber company run by Neighborhood Master Alan, who a lot of you probably know. He and I have interacted a lot on online, especially on TikTok and on Twitter. He has great takes on a lot of things. He's also a lightsaber maker and a teacher of the martial arts surrounding lightsabers that he works on. Fantastic guy. And now, if you buy one of his sabers through us, I believe you will get a discount, and most importantly, you will also get to help out the podcast here. His lightsabers are incredible quality. They are great for cosplay. They are great for if you want to enjoy fighting with them, either just, having fun in the backyard or actually engaging in the kind of combat games that many people are now seeing as a martial art that you can do. All that kind of information is on his website. And you can find out how to buy them and help out this podcast at the same time by going to truestory.fm/levelupsabers. Again, that is truestory, truestory.fm/levelupsabers. And all that information will be in the show notes that you can check out. So please think about that. They make great gifts. They make great things just for yourself. And getting one really helps to support the podcast as well. So check those out. Thank you all so much. Now back to the episode. I'm just so into this show right now. Like I don't remember laughing as much while watching a Star Wars property, really watching anything in a long, at least every 5 minutes, I was busting a gut laughing at something in this episode.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I want to say I really from the start called who Silva was. Like the moment from the first scene in the first episode, I was like, I bet this guy's the one that meets up with the kids because he's being suspicious and he's down on his luck.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved kind of the mystery around Jod Na Nawood, which is a crazy name.
Right.
Even crazier to think he probably just made that up, which is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to say more about this episode in just a second. But first I want to say, especially with the holidays coming up, I don't know if you folks have checked these out before or friends who want to check them out. I have become a huge believer in books on tape, in audiobooks. Books not really on tape or disc anymore, but streaming. I just completed a very long road trip going to and from Philadelphia, during which I listened to all of one book and a lot of another book in the Dune series, and I did that on Audible. And I've just become a huge fan of it. Alex, you talked a little bit about it, but also I think for you as well, Erin, do you listen to books on tape? Listen to audiobooks ever?
I eat, sleep, live, breathe audiobooks. I literally bought a book for my ethics class and then bought it on audio because I couldn't bring myself to read it. I'm like, I have too much shit to do. I just want to be able to do other things like fold my laundry while I'm listening to my textbooks. So
That's
yeah,
fair.
I love Audible. I've had an Audible subscription for years now. It's really especially the way to for me to consume like Star Wars stories because they do all the fun production. It's not just like the voice for most of the books that were made in the last like 15 years or so. There's like the like they do a lot of cool stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, you get like the lightsaber, the fight sounds, but also like, you get the Force music at appropriate times, or like, it really makes it hit home. And even when it's not stuff like that, like the Dune books I've been listening to, in Dune, there's a lot of names and a lot of names where you're not sure how to pronounce them. And just hearing someone like say the name over and over for me helps me remember it a lot more. and I can so easily like go back 15 seconds or ahead, when I need to like make sure I caught something like that. I love books on tape. I love audiobooks. And if you're thinking about doing something nice for yourself for the new year, you're thinking maybe you're going to be working out a lot more, you're going to try and do like more gardening work, anything like where you're going to be working a lot more as a New Year's resolution, and you want to have something to listen to, get yourself an Audible subscription. It also makes a great gift for whatever holiday you're looking to give. Life Day, that's the thing I was looking for.
There we go.
Celebrate Life Day with someone. Give them a subscription. All the information's on our show notes. It's weird because they'll say like, oh, you can get 90 days free or something like that. Which go for it if you can. If you get a year subscription, I think once you've been a paying subscriber for 45 days, we'll get some of that money, and just a nice way to help support the podcast and get yourself the great access to, a book every month with Audible credits that you get. So please check all that out. Now let's go back to talking about this episode. So what do we think his background is? We've now seen him do a couple of things that seem like they are force powers. And that one in the cell at the end of the last episodes, I thought I was ready to write off as just a trick, but it does seem like now he's done a couple of force level powers. Pretty low level, but still. What do you guys think is going on?
I mean, I'm not positive, but I mean, I feel like he's a pirate. But like we've seen plenty of characters who like aren't like Jedi necessarily, but like have a little bit of force sensitivity.
Right.
I think that like it's very plausible that he is a pirate and a leader, and he like maybe even got to where he is with some real low level like sensitivity to the force, and like I mean like not like low level is in regards to a Jedi, higher level to the average person, where just enough where he can like flick a light on and off, or like levitate a pair of keys. Like
Right.
I think that like some of it is probably tricks, but clearly like he's clearly studied Jedi lore to perfect his con, because he like references it. He's like, that's not something the Jedi say. Or this is, he tries to act like a Jedi for these kids in the beginning at least. So I feel like it's kind of part of his like character con of like, yeah, I'm a former Jedi. Like I can use the Force, and he can just use it a little bit. It's giving it's to me, it's giving Jar Jar Binks in the Clone Wars when he had to fake being a Jedi for an episode.
Oh God.
But a little
I
less
do
clumsy.
believe that is the first, and I hope last time in all of human civilization that Jude Law is compared to Jar Jar Binks. But
Jude Law is
continue
incredible.
with your heretical sayings.
Just that like Jar Jar pretended faked like using the Force and running around and stuff, and Jar Jar's Jar Jar. Jude Law clearly is much more refined than that. I don't know. Yeah, so I kind of think I also did not realize, I felt a little dumb that he was the guy in the very beginning until the end of the second episode. I was like, oh, Jude Law was that guy who was the captain who got kicked out, and then I put it together. Obviously it was confirmed in this third episode, but yeah, I was not as quick as Erin on the uptake there.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm usually not very quick, so I was really proud of that one.
You should be. I was just yeah. I don't.
I feel
yeah. Go.
I feel like, if I may bring up a book, to me, his character, it's giving like Axel Greylark if he was poor. Super confident, some attachment to the Force, like maybe he can, I mean, I think he's stronger than Axel Greylark is, but like has some awareness of it and just uses it to his advantage. Like he is a con man through and through.
For our readers who do not know who that is,
yes, he is from the Convergence book, right?
Yep, in High Republic.
As a host who has not read this book either, I'm interested.
Yeah, it's a really fun book. It's in the High Republic, but even 200 years before the rest of the High Republic. Basically, he's the Chancellor's son, and he uses it to do whatever the fuck he wants, and ends up getting in deep shit and helping terrorists, and then he no longer can get out of shit by being the Chancellor's son.
There's a young woman Jedi who he becomes her I can fix him, but she can't, and things go badly. But he's kind of like the charming rogue kind of a character.
Yeah.
I really like that idea, and especially Alex, what you said about him being just like some guy who just has some Force powers. I really hope it's that, because I'm going to be really disappointed if he's a former Padawan. First of all, because someone did the math, the age wouldn't really line up for this to have worked. Like he would probably be like already in his 20s by the time of Order 66. So him being like a little kid in Order. Granted, we don't actually know how old this guy aged or whatever, but like we're a while away from Order 66. So
Or probably like 25 years plus.
yeah, something like that. And he certainly seems like he's a lot older than that. So him being a kid and thus escaping, he could be an adult who escaped, but then that's also a little more like, how do you become so much not a Jedi? And I'm a little sick of Order 66. Like, I know it's this really big thing and it's great, but I think it's kind of losing its specialness if we always go there. So I would like it, if he was never a Jedi, he was just a guy who had some Force powers and has been bouncing around now trying to do what he can.
I agree with you for originality purposes, Matthew, wholeheartedly. But I do just want to note that every time I watch a new take on Order 66, my heart is broken all over again, and I love to feel that pain.
I agree.
But I do agree that it would make way more sense if he was not, and I would be very happy with him just being his own guy. But I do love seeing me a new take on Order 66 that will just hurt me again.
I know this is a difficult concept because I am talking to two people of the generation for whom emo was a fairly common, state of being.
Leave my Fall Out Boy days alone.
Hold on.
I never had that stage.
They're still here.
It is possible to enjoy media without a sense of emotional masochism.
No, that doesn't sound right.
I know that sounds crazy.
That doesn't sound right.
I know it sounds crazy. And don't worry, Andor season 2 is coming. We're going to get some punches in the heart. A lot of other stuff is coming that is going to punch us in the heart real hard.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, but here...
The line is coming for Grogu. If anyone comes for Grogu at Lucasfilm, it's getting burned down.
Let's switch gears for a second. Because I actually thought we were going to get real dark real fast at a different point. And I'm wondering if any of you had this thought.
Pray tell.
I thought one of the kids was going to kill an X-Wing pilot.
I did too. Same.
Right? Like, I was just like, wait, what happened? Like, my light, shiny thing, if one of these 10-year-olds, like, murders a pilot, are going to be like, what did we just do?
I was kind of waiting for it.
Right?
I was anti X-Wing in that moment for the first time in my life.
You were rooting for the kids. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You become murder bots. Cool. Okay.
Well, not to murder, but I'm rooting for them to, like, get away.
Yeah, defend them. Maybe, in the words of Dobby the Elf, Dobby didn't mean to kill, just lightly maim.
I'm going to ask for a moratorium on the Harry Potter references, given the horrificness of the author.
No, that's fair.
I get that, and it is a fair reference. It's a fair reference indeed. Yeah, no. So I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I really thought one of those kids was going to kill someone, and either A, be really emotionally fucked up by it, or B, not be at all. In which case, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's bloodthirsty Goonies. I'm okay with it.
Especially that Jack put them in that position.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, I'm imagining like if somebody kills someone, they're not going to realize it. Like it's not going to sink in.
Well, I think to both of them, they were treating it like a video game.
Yeah.
Win especially was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And which I loved, but also was like, is someone about to meet the consequences of their actions very quickly here? I'm also glad, I got to say, that we didn't get Paul Sung-Young Lee, the X-Wing pilot. He's been the one who's been, X-Wing pilot Mandalorian. I'd have been annoyed if he turned out.
I actually was half expecting it. I had the exact same reaction, Matthew. Like they were panning to like open the cockpit, and like half of me was like, "This is gonna be him," and I also half of me was like, "I'm gonna be actually really annoyed if it's him," because like, what do we have 2 Rangers in the entire galaxy, and he's one of them? Like,
correct. Yeah, like I don't want this to in any way overlap with Mando and Grogu stuff. Like I want this to be its own thing. Like,
and it's succeeding as its own thing. I have not been this enthralled in like a purely novel story since The Mandalorian. I think, like again, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and all those were characters we knew, like just pure novelty. I don't think I felt this way since Mandalorian came out back in 2019 or 2020, whatever it was.
Yeah,
19.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Can we talk about the scene back on? Is it at Ata? At Ata, right?
At Atan.
At Atan, thank you.
Yeah.
Where the parents are all gathered, clearly frazzled, and the droid comes in and is just like, "Yeah, the administrator said we can't go after them. They're past the barrier," and they're like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, they're just gone. Like it's illegal. Like remain calm." But they're and it's just like interesting that like I mean, just the more like the little snippets we get of like, the kids talking about the fact that, like our parents are analysts and like, what are they analyzing? Like, why is their currency worth so much money? And like, why is this planet stoked in so much secrecy? Like, no ships ever come and go. And like this administrator who like rules this planet is now like you can't go after these children that have escaped. It's like illegal. And so like, even
The great work.
what is the woman's title? Undersecretary. The undersecretary even like is surprised by this because they just all seem in the dark. But like they also seem like normal people. Like they're all like really worried about their children. It's not like the Giver where like they're all like, oh, no emotion, no nothing. Like they seem like they're normal people, but being trapped in this weird situation, this weird scenario. And the kids all seem normal, but they're like, there's nothing special about our planet. It's just like some boring ass backwater world in their mind. And but it's clearly not. I mean, it's in freaking legends everywhere. I didn't fully, maybe one of you can explain, I didn't fully understand what was being said about it. Like it was one of these legendary planets that like was only told in like ancient tales. Erin, please enlighten me.
Okay, so I'm going to use the Solo movie as a comparison. So you know how at the end of the Solo movie, they tell the story of this planet had wealth and the people came to take it.
Yes.
Basically, and like stomped on the locals.
Yes.
I think it's the same idea of there's these 6 planets that have like extremely valuable either natural resources. They mentioned something about jewels, so maybe there's like natural jewels that are grown there, or maybe the jewel is at the center of the planet or something cool like that. I don't know.
Treasure planets, love it.
Exactly. And basically all these planets have been like raided and destroyed and brought to nothing.
Except for At Atan.
Except for At Atan, which found a way to like successfully hide itself. That's my understanding.
Bruh, this shit, where has this been all my life? This is like National Treasure, Goonies, and Star Wars rolled into one thing.
Right?
And I am so excitedly here for it.
It is so fun. And I want them to leave it like that. I don't want to find out that Exegol was another one of these hidden planets, or that like, the way they hid it was the same way they hid Camino. Like I want them just to leave it be. Don't connect it to Order 66. Don't connect it to other stuff. Because clearly these people at one point were more part of the Republic. They knew about Jedi. They knew about Coruscant and Alderaan. All that reference to you don't know about the war. That was rough.
That was crazy.
Like that's for me. My like Order 66 hits you. For me, it's like, oh, Alderaan, poor Princess Leia. Like that hits me. But yeah, I just thought I love that whole scene. I thought we learned so much about who these characters are. Like the KB, is that her name? We still know nothing about like the little visor thing she wears and sometimes takes off, but we know apparently that she has some kind of medical needs because they're worried that her like life monitor they're no longer in contact with. So that's like they're just doing so much to plant little things about these characters to make us really care and want to know more without having to like hit us over the head with everything.
Yeah. I did kind of like that scene back on At Atan, seeing like the different parenting styles. Because the undersecretary is like, I want to speak to your boss. And then KB's moms are like, oh my God, our baby, she's gonna die. And then Wim's dad is just like, literally glasses off, head and hands. He's like, I can't even deal with this shit.
And Neil's mom is just like, like clenching her fists and like not even sure what to say.
She's like, they're gonna be okay.
Do y'all have a theory of what the hell is going on? Like, we don't have to talk about it, but I am so intrigued in what is happening. Like, why, like you said, I mean, like, even if they're like shielded off and guarded, like, why do they know about the Jedi? Do they only do the stories of the Jedi they know are only like the Jedi of the High Republic? Or do they not? Like, I mean, clearly they don't know about the war. They were protected from the Empire couldn't find them. They were protected from, like, it's confusing that like they know that like the Republic exists and they call it, I think they say the New Republic on the planet, don't they?
No, they do not say the New Republic.
Okay, they just say Republic.
Only said the Republic. Yeah,
okay, so like, I'm confused how you cannot know about the war, how the Empire could take over, have access to Republic records, still not know this planet exists. Like, is it just no one knows where it is, but they pretend like they're part of the Republic?
I mean, I kind of think it's kind of like Themyscira in a weird, like from Wonder Woman, like where like it was connected to other things, but eventually they were just like, peace out. Like, we're gonna have this barrier. Maybe they put it up themselves. Maybe it just kind of came and helped protected them.
Is that the island in Wonder Woman?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
but I just kind of feel like they were a part of the Republic, and then fairly recently, like maybe in the last like 100, 200 years, but clearly before the Empire and any of
Yeah.
that, during the Old Republic, they just like lost contact, and maybe the rest of the galaxy thought that they were destroyed, and everyone just kind of like forgot about them because of it, and they were happy to have that happen. I think it's entirely possible that it was some kind of like ruling group who was like, we have to do this to be safe, but we're like not gonna really tell everyone. We're just gonna be like, oh yeah, there's this barrier, it's not safe to go out anymore. And then in
Don't worry about it.
in a generation or two, everyone's gonna they're just gonna accept there's no war in Bossing Say. That's just how it is, you know. You just don't go past the barrier.
Which they all seem to just kind of have accepted at this point. I mean, and that is
totally.
similar to the Giver in that, like, you know, there's a barrier, you just don't go past the barrier. Like, you just, this is your home, don't cross it, and no one questions it except for like one guy.
Yeah, no, I think it's right.
Oh,
I did find it interesting though that the kids knew about hyperspace.
Right.
Because when he's about to jump into hyperspace, KB goes, "Wait, isn't it dangerous to jump if you're attached to something?"
But they didn't know what stars were.
Fern knew, but they didn't know what they would look like.
Which is insane. Which lends
Bonkers.
itself to either there's like nebula gases, like she talked about, like that owl person talked about, like blocking them from the review, or whatever that barrier is, it prevents them from seeing the stars.
Yeah.
Weird. Weird.
Can we talk now about Madame Hoots a lot?
Yeah. What's her actual name? Anyone know?
Kim.
Thank you.
Spelled like KHYMMM or some bullshit.
3 M's? Love that.
This is very, like, we're going to continue in this world where everyone is either a very alien sounding name or a kind of normal sounding name, except it's spelled really weird. And then Luke Skywalker is the only, and Leia, I guess. Leia is a pretty common Jewish name, although spelled differently there. Sometimes spelled Leia, but often Leah. But yeah, I just love it. Kim is like 8 letters. Neil is Neel instead of Neil. We've had
the way that wasn't even the same word in my mind. It's
yeah.
Neil, not Neil, obviously.
Who was the person in Andor who wound up kind of being a snitch, and he had like a regular sounding name but with an extra D at the end?
It's like Pat or some bullshit.
Todd,
like that.
yeah, but it had 2 T's at the end. It was Todd or Pat or something like that. But yeah, what's up with that owl lady? I think she's freaking awesome. I loved her so much.
She
his name is Tim.
So
yes, that's right, Tim with 2 M's.
She reminded me, I don't know, my brain is very HD, but she reminded me a bit of the spirit guardian from Avatar: The Last Airbender, who has the library under the desert, like owl features protecting this, like these maps and this knowledge. So I'm curious if there's like an archetype in some cultures of, like, you know, I mean, owls do represent knowledge in a lot of cultures, but like this owl protecting all this knowledge, which is interesting. That's just where my brain went first. But she was like very, like, clearly like very caring of the kids immediately. Kind of had the vibe of, like, you know, Lando towards Han a little bit, just like, you know, you're my friend, but also I don't trust you, Jack. But also seemed genuinely interested in whatever the kids had to tell her about At Atan. She was like, I want to stall Jack, but also I kind of want to find At Atan.
Right.
And she that's funny when she findings to KB, right?
I think
data disk.
Yeah.
Jod took them, but
okay. Well, someone has them.
I thought it was funny how Kim was like getting into it. And she's like, "We're almost. I mean, this is gonna take a really long time to do." And Jod's like, "You're bullshitting. Fuck you."
I do need to mention, in terms of owls, obviously we already have an owl association in Star Wars, which is with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Right? In Rebels, we saw that owl, the kind of Loth owl.
It's... Oh, God.
Male.
She's the daughter reincarnated.
Right. Which I always thought was also supposed to be a reference to Athena, because owls are very much supposed to be signs of Athena.
Which is also wisdom. More wisdom. Greek, Egyptian, all sorts of different... yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's possible. I think it's also just that it was an awesome character design. They were like, all right, let's just throw this in here. But I thought she was a lot of fun. She's a snitch, which, you know, we don't love, but also I get her thinking that like these kids are in a bad situation and need help. Though it
I
does,
mean, it really is giving Lando.
yeah. It does depress me a little bit. Like in our own world, we're already like, people are in any kind of trouble, you call the cops. Here, like you really need child protective services, and instead you get X-wings. Like that's not the best necessarily, but here we are.
Also crazy that like there were just X-wings ready to roll so quickly in this like seemingly very small outpost on a moon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I would say clearly it's within like the Republic's general
No, for sure.
era.
Yeah.
Just that they showed up quick.
Yeah, they were like
I-
on top of it. But
I mean, I
also,
think-
didn't she call like a while ago?
Yeah, I
She
guess
called
she
when
got
they
him on
first
camera.
stepped foot. Yeah.
but also like there are parts when I lived in New York City, there were parts of the city where everyone knew stuff was going down, and for the most part, the cops left it alone. But like there was always a cop car within a block or two for the moment like there was a gunshot or anything bad happened.
Right.
So I can imagine there are just like some X-wings that are like, yeah, we're just kind of slowly circling this pirate area once or twice. Also, though, remember, this is the time of the New Republic, during which there's been advances in hyperspace travel, so that now all ships move at the speed of plot.
Speed of what?
I was about to say that too.
Speed of plot.
Speed of plot.
Yes.
Thank you. My
Yes.
brain was doing some somersaults there for a second.
But actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not only in the New Republic era, because also Rogue One was where I think we first really started to see like time distances. A Jedi cares not about such things.
A wizard arrives exactly when he's meant to.
Exactly.
Even a space wizard.
Just one little comment on the thing about with all the parents, just to kind of like cut this off at the seams before it even starts. I'm already seeing some people being like, "Oh my gosh, it's so woke. Why do they have to force diversity with KB having two moms?" Like, there's just no point in that argument because, to me, all this is saying is like queer people exist. If you if you have a show where everyone is straight, that's actually more of an agenda. That's pushing an agenda. People are queer. One of these kids is going to have queer parents. That just kind of like mathematically makes sense. So, maybe not 1 in 4, but certainly whatever number it is. So yeah, I remember like I saw stuff about that beforehand. So I was ready for it to be this like big issue, but it was not mentioned in the slightest,
No.
like just so some people are just looking for something to be angry about. That's not us here.
Yes, I feel like just the idea of same-sex couples and even like transgender folk in Star Wars is not fucking new.
Yeah.
Like if people are still pissed about it, you're either blind or you're really stuck on an issue, which some people are, But it's this has been happening for many, many years in this media, books, and TV. Like, let's take a breath, guys. It's normal.
Honestly, I didn't even like realize or think about it. What I was thinking about, and this might sound insane, but the fact that Neil was so much older than his siblings, like, damn, was Neil an accident? Like, best accident ever, but like, was Neil an accident? Like, 3 babies and then Neil. I don't know. That's where my brain was thinking this whole time.
That's hilarious.
He was like the engagement night baby, and the rest of them were like planned.
I mean, he's at least 10 years older. I mean, I don't know. To be fair, I don't know how this species ages. So maybe they age really quickly. But
True.
based on just straight appearances, don't look good.
Look. Some people get married with lots of planning. Sometimes it's a shot trunk wedding. So
Shot trunk wedding.
All right.
Oh god.
Moving back along.
Great
Though.
entertainment.
Any other last comments we want to make about this episode?
Yes. First of all, Smee just sizing Jod up and getting tall as fuck was one of my favorite like power moves I've ever seen. Just the slow creaking as he's like, and just like slowly gets taller. I was like, hell yeah, he is the children's protector.
Just for anyone who's confused, we're talking about SM33. He's never been referred to as Smee in the show, and he probably never will be. But I think it would be incredibly unlikely if it was just coincidence that the pirate like second in command, whose name is SM33, which as you said could be Smee, as in the guy from Captain Hook. Like that just seems so incredibly obvious. But anyway,
Yeah.
go on.
I loved when Jod went back to get the droids, and there was a B1 battle droid. Goes, did we win the war?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Good
that had
reference.
me so excited. I was like, yes.
I was bracing myself to hear the RR word, which I didn't want to hear, but we didn't, and I was so happy about it.
Yeah, you had some droids, also some different. The second droid he turned on was the same model droid that C-3PO bumps into in Jabba the Hutt's little mech room, little
Mhm.
like droid torture room. So they had droids from all the different eras, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
I mean, it's my name, so if anyone's watching this, Irat, but can't forget the Irat. Love him.
We should name
Ugly
it.
little naked guy. And when they send Jod back for their droid, and he's like, well, what? How am I gonna know? They're like, his name's SM-33. Don't forget his Irat. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then
But
he
he
goes
went.
and he's like,
He went back for it.
he went back and he was looking through the droids and turning them on, and then he goes, SM-33. SM goes, who wants to know? And then the rat sticks out his eye, and he's like, I'll take that as a yes.
Yep, that's the guy. That's our guy.
Motion to temporarily name the rat Rufus, like Kim Possible.
Oh, Rufus. That's cute.
Little Rufus. My only, not to say that it's anything major. Just to throw out one gripe I do have, is the ship, which seems to have been buried under the earth of their planet for a long time, never refueled. I guess the pirates refueled it for some reason when it was impounded, but like it's like you see stuff falling off of it and like gravitating around it. Yet this thing is jumping to hyperspace, no problem. Everything's working fine with the droids able to make repair, and I'm just like, damn. Han had to like shut down inside of a giant worm in an asteroid just to like get some things working, and this ship's running perfect. I don't know. It's super small, but that just like bothered me a teeny bit. If I had to pick anything, it's that. It's the ship working as well as it has without any issues occurring. Fucking Mando's fucking ship breaks on every other minute. Half of the season 1 of Mandalorian is him fixing his ship.
Don't you dare slander the Razor Crest like that.
The Razor Crest, R.I.P.
Yes.
was breaking down left and right, girl. I don't know what to tell you.
The Razor Crest was a beautiful, wonderful, incredible space jalopy.
Correct.
But it was a jalopy.
That is an incredible way of putting it.
Yeah. In college, I had a friend who was fond of taking us on road trip adventures at midnight to like go to like some weird diner or some weird place.
Love that.
And was not really focused on the details of things. And on at least 2 different occasions, he got in the car, turned on the engine, and drove away while the fuel line was still in the car.
Do you mean like from a
fuel
gas
line,
station?
Yeah, at a gas station.
Okay, that's really dangerous.
No, I'm very. He didn't drive after the second time we did that. When else finished?
You let him do it again after the first time?
It was like 6 months later. You know, I was 19.
Yeah.
I have questions.
I didn't grow up in car culture. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
I said we would never get back in a car again if someone did that once.
I don't know. Anyway, the point was there was a bunch of us. I want to say there were chemicals involved, but I was sober as a judge. So I really don't have this excuse.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
The point being, the fuel line didn't lock on. It just and like even in ones where it does lock a little bit, like it's made to like disengage. So I did like. I found that a lot of the things about the ship to be a little bit eye-rolly, like this doesn't make sense. But I also feel like the show doesn't want me to care. Like there's a large extent to which it's like, stop thinking so much, just enjoy the laughter, and I'm okay with that. The show's making me laugh enough that I'm happy to do that.
Fair.
My kind of thoughts about the ship, I keep seeing it and I'm like, I wonder if it's like a really special ship, you know? Because like Jod asks like, what ship is this, you know? Because in my mind, what ship out there could be under like be on a planet so long that it's become part of the environment and lift the fuck up and blast off? Like it had planned coordinates, it had a place to go. Like I feel like this is like god tier level ship. Like some ship mastermind was like, this is my super fancy pimped out ship, and it was like way back in the day, and him and his crew all had all this fancy stuff, and they finally found At Atan, and then they got fucked and died apparently. But that's kind of like my thought process with the ship is like, I want to know more about this ship's lore. Like,
I mean, Neil was a good pilot for it. Sort of. They didn't crash. Also, can we just say everything on that moon was so beautifully done? And like, it's becoming a bit of a Star Wars cliche, but I don't care. the like people walking against a silhouetted background. Like that
it's so
shot was
fun.
just
Yup.
so beautiful.
Good frame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
But
My last,
I think you're right, Aaron. I think that ship is probably going to be something pretty cool.
It's got to be special. Then I'll feel
Yeah.
better. Tell me it's made of like Beskar with adamantium from X-Men's claws built in, or Wolverine's claws mixed in.
X-Men is crazy.
Listen, if it's like, the strongest materials from like every franchise ever,
Vibranium.
like vibranium, adamantium, Beskar, what's that stuff in Lord of the Rings? Mithril.
Mithril. Yeah.
All that mixed together. Yeah.
That's the ship.
Yeah.
Space metal. Space metal. I like it.
Last little thing from this episode I want to mention. SM33 and Jod, I think, is my new favorite, like, non-purposeful comedic duo. Like, they are so awkward and funny in their conversations together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Jod asks, like, are these kids, are they really from At Atan? And Smee's like, I'll tell you something, and I won't be repeating it again. They're from somewhere.
That was so good. That point was so good. I loved it.
And then he walks away and comes back.
Yeah,
that one
got
me.
I'm digging them, but also Win and Farah. Is that the girl's name?
Fern.
Yeah, sorry.
Her mom's name is Farah, I think, or something.
That's right.
Like that.
Win and Fern having that, like, we're not quite old enough to realize that we might have a crush on each other, but we antagonize each other all the time, and
don't
are just
make it that. I mean, subtly, probably yes, but like, shh.
Okay, it doesn't even have to be that, but just that, like, we're just going to antagonize each other all the time, and like, Win could say the sky is blue, and Fern's gonna be like, no, it's not, and vice versa. And I just freaking love it between both of them. I find them hilariously funny.
When they were talking about ways that you can fake the Force, it's like magnets, turbo lifts, string, really thin string.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, really thin string. Like, what do you mean?
See, I think that's a reference because I'm pretty sure at least one or two of the Force tricks in the original movies, they used very thin string.
Well, something I want to bring up moment for another reference that we didn't talk about, Matthew, that I missed. And I don't know if y'all saw later on social media is, do you remember the little hologram that Neil's little kid brothers were watching on the table?
Yeah, it was this like Star Wars holiday special.
It was a Star Wars holiday special, like verbatim. And I don't know how to feel about that. The Star Wars holiday special is, I don't know whose call that was, whether that was Filoni or Kathleen Kennedy or Favreau. Someone is trying to get that world into canon, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I think they're trying to get that is a fictional world in the canon, i.e. that like actual characters in Star Wars saw that as a holiday special on TV, not that it's real.
Oh, that's fun. It's not a historical document. It's
yeah. The people in Galaxy Quest would get confused by it, but it's not a historical document.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Just going back to the kids for a second, I gotta say, in the weeks leading up to it, there was a lot of like, no matter what we do, we're not going to criticize those kids, and I support that, and I like that because I think the way a lot of fandoms go after child actors is really horrible, particularly when they're not the best. But like they still don't deserve any of the harassment. These child actors are fantastic, though.
Oh yeah,
like they're really all across the board really good, and I just want to like lift that up and praise that.
For sure.
Yeah,
especially like Neil, the ability to both of us. It's Neil, he's the best. The ability to like make such a lovable and relatable and fun character and portray them well. I mean, I haven't seen how it is. I'm assuming they either mocapped it or some sort of like digital overlay. I don't know. But like that's a real little boy under there. And he's given all the life to the character. And the fact to like be able to convey that, it's just so impressive, especially for someone so young.
I think it's a real suit. They like had the props on display somewhere, and I saw like the Neil like costume. Like I think it's a real.
Crazy.
There's an actual actor working it in there.
I think it's a suit, and then they're doing some motion capture to like make the mouth move and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
The trunk move.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's real, and I think all the kids are just phenomenal.
We love to see representation for his species.
Yeah.
Ever since my boy Max Rebo.
Max Rebo.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? They're the same species. Is that the idea?
100%.
Yeah.
100.
For sure.
I don't
Little
care what
blue
anyone says. My headcanon is going to be that they're distant relatives. That somewhere in Neil's DNA is the ability to just jam out in the funkiest way possible.
It's possible. I mean, we just saw his mom, so we don't know who his dad is.
Oh my God, his dad's Max Rebo.
Again, in the I want it to be a big universe. I'd be so mad if it is. But I'm
Neil
just
Rebo.
saying they didn't show us a dad.
Neil Rebo.
Neil Rebo. Neil Rebo.
That's my name next week is Neil Rebo.
Yep. Jizz Generation 2. It's a possibility.
Jesus.
Erin, you look very confused. Do you not know what I'm referring to there?
No.
This is a George Lucas thing. It is in one of the Star Wars books that Max Rebo is the inventor, founder of a school of music known as Jizz. Jizz.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's meant to be like space galactic jazz that's just so cool.
Yeah, George is weird. We all knew that.
Yikes.
Love you, George.
On that note, I will also say we're talking about a kid show. We're a bunch of adults.
Depending on the day.
We have a younger guest who's been a fan of the show who wants to come on for an episode, daughter of a good friend of mine. And so we will be cleaning up our language for that episode significantly. But yeah.
That's so fun.
A question I'm just going to throw out that I think is going to be worth discussing, that I don't know if the show is going to cover it all, and I don't think I need it to, but I just would be a fun for us to maybe do an episode after this, which is because it when we first saw the two kids playing I'm a Jedi, you're a Sith, I started wondering what do people in the New Republic now think of the Jedi? And clearly that actually isn't relevant yet because these people don't know about the New Republic. But I'm still left wondering, most of the people, they lived under the Empire, but all they knew was that Order 66 happened and that the Empire told them all that the Jedi were terrible. And has the New Republic done some new re-education program? Telling people no, the Jedi were actually framed and it's terrible, and Luke's trying to rebuild them. Oh, and so therefore don't worry that one of the people Luke was rebuilding is now turned into this global terrorist again. Galactic, New Republic thing. Yeah. First Order thing. I would just love to know that around the time of The Mandalorian, what do people mostly think of the Jedi? So
I do love that.
It's a fun question.
It's interesting to think about. Yeah.
Cool. We have some bonus content coming up. We're continuing with our stories about the we're continuing with our stories of from the certain point of view. I want to remind everyone again to become a member. Only $5 a month, $5 a month, $55 a year. You get access to bonus content. You get access to all kinds of free stuff. You get to help support the podcast, which is awesome. Please think about that. And as well as there's awesome stuff that my co-hosts are doing. So Erin, where can people find you?
Funny you bring that up. So you can find me at Lady Tano Creates on both Instagram and TikTok. I did just delete Instagram. I'm recovering from a surgery and I was feeling really overwhelmed with all the external noise. So I will be back on there in a couple weeks. I have some Christmas content coming up with a certain character of mine. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, give me a follow and send me a message about the show if you want, and I'll see it when I come back, and then it'll be a fun little surprise.
I am all for people support defending their boundaries, the social media. It's such a good thing to do. And you heard it here first. We're gonna get Ahsoka. What's the holiday called? Light Day Special.
What?
You said you've got some Christmas content coming up for the favorite characters. So assume it's Ahsoka, and it's the holiday in the Star Wars Christmas special. So holiday special. So you heard it here first.
Okay.
Alex, what about you? What are you up to these days?
Oh, just doing the photo thing. You still find me on Instagram at AlexCorman12. Tomorrow I'm photographing the governor, and Friday I'm photographing the Lakers and Timberwolves game. Every day is something different. So yeah, check out some work. I posted some stuff from Hawaii recently. So
I love how you sound that. It's like, oh yeah, I have to hang out with Tim Walz, and I gotta go watch LeBron. Like my life sucks.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's a hard knock life over here, y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
And you work for the Tribune, right? The Minnesota
I do
Tribune.
the Star Tribune. Yeah.
Yeah. So pick up either Instagram or the Star Trib if you want to see them. And of course, all of our stuff is at theethicalpanda.com. Go and check that out. Become a member, send us feedback, all the good things. Buy someone that Audible subscription we talked about as a wonderful holiday gift. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. We have spoken.
Stay classy, Mandalore. I said At Atan last week. I couldn't say it again.
Aye.